Ever since my wife and I were married, we've made it a point to always take a summer vacation. While some families might be perfectly happy with an annual trip to the same destination, we prefer vacations spent exploring our great country. From New England to the West Coast, the Midwest to the last frontier, we've visited a lot of great places. For our 25th wedding anniversary, however, we wanted to visit someplace really special.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that
After 2 days in Maui, our cruise ship set sail for the youngest island of the Hawaiian chain, the Big Island of Hawaii. It was only fitting that our first excursion focused on the volcanic activity of Hawaii. While I knew that all of the islands had been formed by volcanoes, I didn't realize that they had all been formed by the same hotspot buried deep below the Earth's surface. Around 5 million years ago, this hotspot formed the island of Kauai. The northwesterly shift of the tectonic plates then moved Kauai away from the hotspot and began forming the island of Oahu. As these plates continued to shift, even more islands formed, including Maui and the Big Island of Hawaii. Believe it or not, another island, Loihi, has already begun to form. Considering that it won't emerge from the ocean surface for another 50,000 years, you should have plenty of time before you begin making your travel plans. Now, with all those geological facts in mind, let's move on to our excursion. Our first stop, Lava Tree State Park. The park's lush tropical setting is a stark contrast to the lava flow that swept through this forested area in 1790. Instead of knocking down all of the trees in its path, the molten lava formed around the trees. As the tide of lava receded, the semi-cooled lava that had accumulated around the tree trunks remained, leaving behind igneous castings of the doomed trees. Due to the intense heat of the lava, the trees caught fire and completely burnt up, leaving behind hollowed-out trunks where the trees once lived. As is true of all the Hawaiian Islands, however, Mother Nature is resilient, even in the face of devastation.
You've got mosses, you've got lichens, you've got ferns. These are all the first things to grow. But the most special plant growing on here is this little guy. This is actually a little baby ohia sapling. This is the same exact tree that would have been growing here 200 years ago.
Our next stop was Kalapana Beach. Back in the day, Kalapana was a small fishing village with a world-famous black sand beach nestled in Kaimu Bay. Lush groves of palm trees and a serene seaside park lined its shore. For many years, surfers and tourists alike flocked to Kaimu Beach to enjoy its high surf and fine black sand. But in 1990, when lava erupted from a vent of the Kilauea volcano, it not only destroyed the village of Kalapana, but it buried the beach under a 60-foot thick layer of lava and created a new coastline that extended nearly 1,000 feet farther into the Pacific Ocean.
See the old shoreline where the taller palms are? Those all predate the eruption. We're kind of on the eastern edge of the eruption right now. Once we get about halfway out, you can look back and see really the expanse of the lava field.
And so, led by our tour guide, we began our quarter-mile trek across this massive lava field to see Kalapana's new beachfront property. Along the way, we encountered various reminders of not only the Hawaiian people's resiliency to weather the challenges that nature throws their way, but also to reclaim their island. From chalk murals displaying their proud heritage, to a site that has been designated as a landing pad for extraterrestrials. Yes, believe it or not, this part of the lava field, strewn with altars and unusual artifacts, is known as the Hawaii Star Visitor Sanctuary and was established in hopes of welcoming alien visitors to the island. However, one of the most touching testaments of the Hawaiian spirit was the numerous palm trees that were sprouting throughout this once barren landscape. The locals have made it their mission to restore the area to its previous beauty. After a 10-minute hike, we arrived on Kalapana's newly formed black sand beach. While it's still got a long way to go before it is restored to its original splendor, the ocean's battering surf and the islanders' reintroduction of plant life assure the villagers of Kalapana that, eventually, their beautiful black sand beach will be returned to them. 1 year before our trip, Hawaii's most active volcano, Kilauea, had its biggest eruption in at least 200 years. In the span of about 4 months, lava spilled over 13 square miles of the Big Island. And even though the lava from Kilauea moved slowly, it destroyed everything in its path, transforming the landscape and adding more than a square mile of new land to the coast. On our next stop, we visited some of the areas impacted by the 2018 eruption. One of the roads rendered useless by the lava flows was Route 132.
We went through Paha town back there, then turned left, and we're now right here a couple of miles inland from the very eastern tip. This road that we're looking at used to go all the way to the eastern tip to the town of Kapoho, but everything changed last year when the lava started coming out of the ground over here.
Sadly, things dramatically changed for the residents of this area as well. We met a woman who shared a personal account of how the eruption forced her family to evacuate their new home. Although the lava never reached her community, magma from the volcano coursed underground, creating large fissures and killing surface vegetation. Even though it had been a year since the eruption, heat emanating from the fissures was still hot enough to produce 150-degree readings and bring water to a boil in a container placed on top of one of the fissures. Due to the continual release of dangerous gases and the potential for lava to spew forth from the fissures, this woman's family had to abandon their home because it had been declared unsafe to live in. To wrap up our tour, we paid a visit to the Star of the Sea painted church. From the outside, it's a rather unassuming wooden church, but from the inside, it features a beautiful kaleidoscope of trompe-l'oeil frescoes of scenes from the Bible and depictions of the life of a Hawaiian priest named Father Damien, who devoted his life to sufferers of leprosy. Built in 1928 near Kalapana, the church had to be moved to its present location when it was threatened by the 1990 eruption of Kilauea. And on our way back to the ship, we stopped for a look at Rainbow Falls. Here, the Wailuku River rushes over the 80-foot falls, whose name is derived from the fact that, on sunny mornings, rainbows can be seen in the mist thrown up by the waterfall. Overnight, our cruise ship departed from Hilo and took us to the other side of the island for another day of sightseeing. The following morning, we boarded a bus in the village of Kailua for a 45-minute trip past both barren landscapes and beautiful ocean views to our next excursion destination, a private nature reserve deep in the Kohala Mountains. On this day, it was all about getting back into nature with a hike through a lush tropical rainforest to see some waterfalls. To conclude our hike, we went swimming in a pool at the base of one of the waterfalls. Hey Lauren.
Hey.
How was it? Invigorating? Yes, a full morning of hiking and swimming can definitely work up an appetite. So we wrapped up our excursion with lunch at a picnic area that featured breathtaking views of the Hawaiian coastline. While our bodies may have been a bit weary after 2 busy days on the Big Island, our minds were filled with great memories of our unique experiences. Now it was time to return to our cruise ship. So we boarded a tender boat and set sail for our final Hawaiian destination, Kauai.